The Holocaust Museum in Israel, known as Yad Vashem, is a place designed to evoke profound reflection on one of the darkest chapters in human history. Its architecture alone tells a powerful story. The triangular structure, with narrow, labyrinth-like hallways, serves as a symbolic representation of the oppression and despair experienced by the Jewish people during the Holocaust. Visitors who enter feel the deliberate discomfort, the unsettling tightness that mirrors the overwhelming fear and anguish that millions faced. It's a place meant to honor the memories of those who suffered, with each design choice capturing a different layer of their experiences. As you walk through the museum, the walls seem to close in, immersing you in the feelings of confinement and hopelessness that were imposed on so many. Yet, despite the heaviness, there's a clear intention behind this design: to bring these memories closer, to make sure they're never forgotten. At the end of the journey through the museum, visitors are met with a stream of light, a small yet powerful symbol of hope. This light serves as a quiet reminder that even amidst overwhelming darkness, there's a pathway forward, a glimpse of resilience and strength. It's a powerful message. Even after unimaginable suffering, hope and remembrance remain essential. The Yad Vashem Museum we know today opened in 2007, but it replaced an earlier memorial first established in 1953. This change reflects how the memory of the Holocaust has evolved over time. Initially, the 1953 memorial served as a somber tribute to the victims and a place for families to mourn. It was a first step toward understanding and commemorating the unimaginable suffering that took place. However, as decades passed, it became clear that a more comprehensive approach was needed to truly honor those affected. The modern Yad Vashem was constructed to capture a broader, deeper narrative. With its immersive design and vast archives, it gives visitors an opportunity to connect personally with the lives impacted by the Holocaust. This change from a simple memorial to an extensive educational center illustrates the commitment to keeping these stories alive. It's a reminder that each generation has a responsibility to learn from this history and recognize its importance in shaping a more empathetic, vigilant future. During the Holocaust, the Nazi regime meticulously documented their actions. This documentation wasn't done out of shame or remorse. Instead, it was an intentional record of their activities, captured with cold detachment. Photographs, written records, and detailed accounts were created, not as a means of hiding but rather as part of the systematic planning and execution of their agenda. It's haunting to think about, but these records became crucial pieces of evidence that, today, allow us to understand the scope and scale of the tragedy that unfolded. As the end of the war approached and defeat seemed imminent, the Nazis attempted to erase much of this evidence, recognizing the horror of what they had committed. They destroyed files, burned documents, and dismantled facilities, hoping to conceal the atrocities that had taken place. Despite these efforts, much of what they tried to hide was preserved, saved by those who saw the importance of remembering the truth. These records are now invaluable in honoring the victims and ensuring that such acts are never repeated. While the Holocaust marked one of history's most severe instances of persecution, anti-Semitism had existed long before World War II. This prejudice against Jewish people was deeply embedded in many societies and took different forms across centuries. Political, social, and religious discrimination laid the groundwork for what would become a systematic attempt to annihilate an entire people. The Yad Vashem Museum presents this history to show that the Holocaust did not occur in isolation. Anti-Semitic sentiments, policies, and propaganda created a climate in which such atrocities became possible. By tracing these roots, the museum seeks to emphasize how unchecked prejudice can escalate into unimaginable violence. Understanding this broader context allows us to see the warning signs in our own world, encouraging vigilance against any resurgence of similar ideologies. In the years leading up to the Holocaust's worst atrocities, millions of Jewish people were forcibly confined to ghettos. These overcrowded, enclosed neighborhoods were often plagued by poor living conditions and scarce resources. Despite these harsh realities, many Jews believed that they were being relocated temporarily, deceived by misleading information from Nazi authorities who promoted the idea of resettlement. The Nazis used propaganda to create a controlled narrative around these ghettos, with one particularly chilling example being the model ghetto in Terezin. This ghetto was presented to the world as a model community, even used in propaganda films to show supposed humane treatment. In reality, Terezin was as oppressive as the other ghettos, a place marked by fear, hunger, and uncertainty. By controlling these narratives, the Nazis managed to disguise the true extent of their plans for Jewish communities, prolonging hope and delaying resistance. For those who were transported from the ghettos to the camps, false hope remained a cruel part of the deception. Many Jewish families brought their belongings with them, convinced by Nazi propaganda that they were headed to work camps. Believing they might need their possessions, they packed bags with items from home, unaware that these were the last things they would ever carry. This tragic manipulation added another layer of trauma to an already horrific ordeal. The cruelty extended to every aspect of the camps. The Nazis constructed gas chambers designed to look like shower rooms, complete with non-functional showers and even soap, giving prisoners a false sense of security until the very last moments. This relentless deception was carefully planned, ensuring that many victims remained unaware of their fate until it was too late. Such deceptions reveal the calculated nature of these acts and the extent to which the regime went to maintain control over those they had targeted. Amidst the overwhelming oppression and fear, there were individuals and groups who chose to resist. In the Warsaw Ghetto, for example, a significant uprising took place, with Jewish residents fighting back against the Nazis despite the seemingly insurmountable odds. They held on to a fierce sense of dignity and courage, determined to show that they would not surrender quietly. Another notable act of resistance happened in the Sobibor camp, where prisoners courageously rose up, fighting for their lives and attempting to escape the horrors of their captivity. These acts of defiance, though limited in their scope, serve as reminders of the resilience and bravery that emerged even in the darkest of times. In the face of oppression, these individuals displayed remarkable strength, refusing to allow their spirits to be entirely broken. The Yad Vashem Museum is more than just a place of memory. It serves as an essential educational resource dedicated to ensuring that the lessons of the Holocaust are never forgotten. Through exhibits, personal stories, and historical documentation, the museum seeks to dispel ignorance and confront misconceptions that still surround this tragic chapter of history. It aims to educate new generations, fostering an understanding of what prejudice, unchecked hatred, and intolerance can lead to when allowed to grow. This dedication to education is crucial in a world where some might try to diminish or deny these events. By learning about the Holocaust, visitors are reminded of the value of human life and the importance of respecting others, regardless of their background. The museum's mission reinforces the idea that history must be remembered not just for the sake of honoring those who suffered, but also to prevent future generations from repeating similar mistakes. Despite the lessons of the Holocaust, anti-Semitism remains a troubling reality today. In recent years, there has been a noticeable increase in anti-Semitic sentiments and incidents, particularly across Europe. This resurgence is both alarming and painful, especially in a world that has been so thoroughly educated on the horrors that such prejudice can cause. It's a reminder that hate, if left unchallenged, can persist and grow, even in societies that have witnessed the consequences of intolerance firsthand. The persistence of anti-Semitism today reflects a complex mix of historical prejudice, modern misinformation, and societal influences. It serves as a stark warning that the fight against discrimination and hatred is ongoing. Addressing anti-Semitism is essential not only to protect those who face its impacts but also to uphold the principles of tolerance and human dignity that are vital to any peaceful society. For many survivors of the Holocaust, sharing their stories was not something that happened right away. The trauma they experienced, combined with feelings often referred to as survivor's guilt, made it difficult for them to revisit these painful memories. For years, many held their experiences close, not speaking openly about the horrors they had endured. It wasn't until much later, as they aged, that some began to feel a sense of duty to recount their stories, both to honor those who didn't survive and to educate future generations. These brave survivors often faced intense emotional pain as they recounted what happened to them, reliving moments that many would prefer to forget. By sharing these stories, they have given us invaluable insights into the realities of the Holocaust. Their courage in speaking out serves as a powerful reminder of both the resilience of the human spirit and the importance of learning from those who lived through this history firsthand. In today's digital age, social media has become a powerful tool for communication, but it has also provided a platform for harmful ideas to spread rapidly. Conspiracy theories, including those with anti-Semitic undertones, have found an audience online, often gaining traction through influential voices and widespread sharing. This surge in misinformation has contributed to a renewed wave of prejudice, perpetuating false narratives that can harm entire communities. These conspiracy theories are not new, but the speed and reach of social media have given them a new level of influence. Misleading or inflammatory ideas that would have been isolated in the past can now be amplified across the globe within minutes. This makes the role of responsible media and critical thinking more important than ever, especially as these messages can negatively affect perceptions and fuel discrimination. Recognizing the impact of these digital platforms reminds us that vigilance and education are essential in countering these persistent, damaging narratives. As time passes, the memory of the Holocaust faces the risk of fading. With fewer survivors able to share their experiences firsthand, there is a growing concern that the lessons of this dark period may not resonate as strongly with future generations. This diminishing memory is troubling, especially as anti-Semitic incidents and prejudiced views appear to be on the rise in some parts of the world. For many in the Jewish community, especially those living in Europe, this trend is more than just unsettling. It evokes a sense of vulnerability that mirrors past fears. The gradual loss of living witnesses makes it essential for educational efforts to preserve these memories. Without them, society risks losing not only an understanding of what happened but also the vigilance needed to prevent such atrocities from occurring again. The responsibility now falls on institutions, educators, and individuals to carry forward these stories with respect and accuracy. While the Nazi regime orchestrated the Holocaust, it was not the only source of oppression that Jewish communities faced. In several regions, local collaborators contributed to the persecution, either by assisting in the deportation of Jewish people or by participating in acts of violence. In places like Poland and Ukraine, some individuals played roles in these atrocities, adding another layer of betrayal and pain to the victims' experiences. The involvement of these collaborators is a complex and sensitive subject, as it touches upon local histories that some would prefer to leave unexamined. In recent years, there have been legal efforts in countries like Poland to limit discussions about the role of local collaborators, which has sparked significant debate. Addressing these aspects of history is challenging, yet it remains essential to preserve the full truth of what happened, honoring both the victims and the survivors who endured these compounded tragedies. The Holocaust stands as one of history's most harrowing reminders of what unchecked hatred can lead to. Each story, each memory preserved, serves as a warning of the consequences that prejudice and intolerance can have when allowed to grow without challenge. Today, in a world where anti-Semitism and other forms of discrimination persist, the lessons of the Holocaust are more relevant than ever. We carry a collective responsibility to honor the memories of those who suffered by actively opposing hate and promoting understanding. This history is not merely a chapter of the past but a call to action for the present and the future. By learning from these events and committing to remembrance, we stand a better chance of building a world rooted in compassion, respect, and unity, a world where such horrors are never repeated. Thank you for watching. If you found this video meaningful, consider sharing it to help spread awareness and remembrance. Together, we can honor those who endured unimaginable suffering by ensuring their stories continue to teach and inspire.